If I were handing out the Executive of the Year award, I think I'd give it to Les Snead, the general manager of the Los Angeles Rams. Now, the Les Snead conversation is a hard one to have, right? Because there was that time where the Rams are going all in and they were just spending picks on everybody. Just get Jalen Ramsey in the building, get Matthew Stafford in the building. They win a Super Bowl. Les Snead says F them picks on the podium, and it's great, right? Like, yeah, life's awesome. And it was kind of like, wow, look at what a good GMing job this is. And it's like, okay, like, yes, it's a great GMing job, but also like, it's just like kamikaze GMing. Like you just start throwing a ton of resources at the wall and you're going. Now we're kind of in the second era of that where the pendulum swings the other way because the Rams have so many homegrown late round draft picks taking significant snaps for them right now. Starting running back Kyren Williams taking 438 snaps. He's a 5th round selection. Puka Nacua, obviously 694 snaps, also a 5th round selection. Kyren, the snaps are only low because of the injury time. Both of those players, you've already been their 2 best offensive weapons this year, given the time that Cooper Kupp has missed. Like those have been integral, huge parts of the Rams, who have a top 10 offense, by the way. The understated but must be highlighted guy there is Steve Avila, 2nd round pick, guard out of TCU, day 1 starter, week 1 starter as a rookie, been playing excellent ball along the interior. First team all rookie without question, Steve Avila. Defensively, Kobe Turner, 3rd round pick, 486 snaps. Byron Young, 3rd round pick, 698 snaps. Both those guys are rookies. Both those guys are contributing. Darian Kendrick and Russ Yeast, corner and safety in the secondary, along with Kobe Durant, a 4th round pick, 6th round pick, 7th round pick. All of those guys, at least 400 snaps, 2 of them over 600 snaps. This Rams team, which is 6-6 and is in the playoff hunt, as it's leapfrogged the Seahawks in the division, is getting unbelievable amount of contribution from their young players, from late drafted day 3, day 2 rookies. And so now there's like Les Snead's such a good drafter. Okay, well, it's the pendulum just swinging the other way. He's had a lot of darts to throw at the board because the Rams haven't been having a 1st round pick and a 2nd round pick. They've just been collecting day 3 picks. And because of the huge influx of talent they took in and all the money that they spent, they've just had a ton of reps to give these guys. They've just had so much room to be like, all right, well, like, we don't really have the cap space to go and sign like anybody at corner more than Akello Witherspoon. So we're just going to stick Darian Kendrick, Kobe Durant, Duke Shelley out there, and they're going to figure it out, right? Like we've had John Johnson leave the building and Nick Scott leave the building and Taylor Rapp leave the building at safety. So Russ Yeast, you're up. You're a 7th rounder, but you got to play. And so the Rams had, like, I think over the last year, 2 years, a pretty unique and fertile environment for developing these day 3 picks that a lot of other teams don't have. And so with that acknowledged, like, I think you have to say that, and you have to say, all right, like, this draft success is probably a little bit more inflated by snap count and by opportunity than it would appear. Les still hit on a lot of guys. It's hard to get a starting running back and a starting wide receiver out of the top 5, and he very clearly got that. Kyren and Puka is no mistake. Kobe Turner and Byron Young are 2 rookie 3rd round picks along the defensive line. They are legitimate players. They are impact players, disruptors. They're the sort of guys you need next to Aaron Donald. They handle their business. They win their one-on-ones when the offensive line over-indexes to Donald. Those are for real players. I think the secondary is like a little bit more fragile, but Avila at guard, Kevin Dotson, who he traded for in August. Like the Steelers weren't going to play this guy. He traded for him, stuck him out there at right guard, and he's been cooking. Like it's one thing to have this approach where it's like, we're going to make 3 7th round picks a year. We're going to make 3 5th round picks a year. It's another thing to like actually land on impact players. The fact that you can get Kyren and Puka and Kobe and Byron the way that he did, where he did, is huge for these Rams because they would be, I think by an average drafter, a lot further behind the 8 ball. We'd be like, oh, Stafford's healthy. Cool. Sean McVay's still doing good stuff. Cool. But I mean, man, this team still, they need a wide receiver. They need a back. We're not saying that about this team. And that's because Les Snead he connected when the ball came across the plate. He got a few more swings than the other guys, but you still have to connect. And he's done an excellent job with that. And so I've seen a lot of Sean McVay Coach of the Year stuff and Matthew Stafford Comeback Player of the Year. And I think everybody's trying to find a way to acknowledge what these Rams have been able to achieve. And to me, when I look at it, I say, this is really nice, solid drafting by Les Snead over the last couple of years. They've drafted and developed, and they're reaping the fruits of that labor. They have a good young talent base to actually, maximize here this final sunlight years of Matthew Stafford's career. Kudos to them.
It's a good one. It's like, I
figured after Belichick's making the playoffs next year, I had to come in with just like a nice friendly take that you couldn't take any umbrage with.
A normal one, a reasonable one. No, that's a good one. It's an outside the box one, as we're so focused on this season. The Rams are 6-6. It's not only, like you mentioned, the volume of those draft picks, but also, I mean, how many undrafted guys did they have on like their 90-man roster? I mean, it was a wild number. It was like way more, I believe, than any other team in the NFL. And listen, that's not a bad strategy. Like, even when they were trading away all their first round picks, they were still drafting for volume throughout the draft, trying to get a lot of bites at the apple, trying to get a lot of dart throws and see what hits. This offseason was like to the extreme. I mean, I looked at the roster coming into the season and it was just like, if Cooper Kupp gets injured, this offense is going to have no chance. You have a 35-year-old quarterback behind a bad offensive line with no other weapons. And as you mentioned, they hit on some stuff on the offensive line. They drafted a wide receiver who by the way, was incredible last week against the Cleveland Browns.
Running away from dudes. Like, Puka's been like, I sit down versus zones. Right. I win weird catches. Boy, had wheels. Woo!
Yeah. 100% was making huge plays for them. And now we talked about it last week when we said, you know what, I think this Rams team might make the playoffs. Now you look around and you're like, all right, offensive line is improved. You've got Puka Nacua, you've got Cooper Kupp, you've got Kyron Williams. Like, there are pieces around Matthew Stafford. Then you make changes schematically and you make changes on the coaching staff. It's kind of all come together for them. Now, they're 6-6. I don't want to make it sound like they're 10-2 or something. At the same time, they've absolutely overachieved my expectation, your expectation, Vegas's expectations, I think, coming into the season. And they're in a very good spot here. Yeah, even defensively, Raheem Morris is probably another guy to mention when we're talking about coaching, head coaching candidates. I know Mike Tomlin has called him like he thinks he's the best coach in the league. He says he's the best coach he's ever been around, and it feels like he's somebody who's really respected among other coaches. And so that's someone. It takes coaching to coach up those young players. You have to play them. You have to develop them. You have to live with mistakes. It's a similar story in Green Bay with the Packers, where they're taking their lumps. They're taking their lumps. They're taking their lumps. And
our Packers. We saw the vision, by the way. We knew. Don't worry about it. We knew.
I really wanted to have another pack because I'm like, we should talk about the Packers. I'm like, what can my next Packers take be? Because it's like, man, that was a big win against the Chiefs. But I'm like, I guess we'll get to them this weekend.
Do you want a Packers take from? I'll give you a Packers take right now.
Sure. What do you got? You're going to win a playoff game?
Well, no, I think they might. But no, the best receiver on that team is Dontavian Wicks. I love this kid. Okay. 13? Yeah. He can play, dude. He's got vines. He's quick. He's loose. I watched Christian Watson, and then I watched Dontavian Wicks, and I go, oh, Wicks is what that's supposed to look like. That's right. I remember. I know Watson just had like a really nice game. I like Dontavian Wicks 13. He's my guy to watch. I'm trying to get him win dynasty leagues.
I was wondering like how outlandish I could go with my take. Like, the Packers are going to win a playoff game. Packers are winning the Super Bowl next year. I'm like, all right, Sheil, settle down. Let's just let them play another game here. But no, it's a good point on Les Snead and the Rams, and they're a team to watch here down the stretch. All right.